Now, what I will explain to you about what we just heard in there is something rather interesting. The piano music you heard, of course, was only a small snippet of quite a long performance. It takes quite a while. But what Richard Strauss did was to imitate and use something that Richard Wagner did when he wrote his operas. This is called a leitmotif. That's not an English word, that's a German word for what he did. And what that means is that he would take a certain musical theme, let's say, or a bunch of instruments with a particular theme that stood for a character or that stood for an event that happened or stood for an idea. And every time that character or that event or that idea would happen, he'd bring that theme back again. So it would help you remember what happened before and give you a good idea of how these things were related, which you might not think were related before. So, what Richard Strauss does in this piano music is the same thing. Now, this was the beginning of this, where Enoch Arden and two particular women, and well, I think in this case, one woman and two guys would go play house with her, okay, in the sand when they were little kids. And she happened to like one more than the other when they played together. Now, that's why you will get music for Enoch Arden when they're together, and you will get music for another person when she and that other person are together, so you can tell the difference in what's going on. So this continues all the way through, so that when you get to the high point in this poem, actually, this is almost a drama rather than a poem. And I think that's why Strauss did this, because it's almost like a musical show that can be done on stage, let's say, rather than just uh, somebody reading it. Now, when the reader is reading it, they'll be standing by the piano, but they will make gestures about it and so on and so forth. Or you could do it as a little show if you wanted anyway. But so when you hear the music, and when it gets to the high point in this great drama of what happened to Enoch Arden, you get to the high point. That music on the piano is absolutely challengingly absolutely challengingly powerful. I was going to say Parsifal, powerful, and it is so remarkably good at opening the real essence of that drama, so that when you hear it, you don't just hear it, you feel it coming into yourself as if you are right there with Enoch Arden, hearing and seeing and listening to what is actually happening to him, as if you're right there beside him. That's how powerful the music that Richard Strauss wrote is when you hear this. Now, there are many versions of it. If you go on YouTube, for example, you can look up Richard Strauss, Enoch Arden, and you can get many narrators and you get many players. But this one is my favorite because Claude Rains is so famous for his work in movies and theater and for this narration. And Glenn Gould is one of those kinds of pianists who is extremely particular and very strict about everything he does. He wants it just his way, and he keeps working on it until it's just his way, and then he'll play it. And you get that sense in here as well in this wonderful recording. And that is why that happens to be my favorite version of it. Sorry that that sound can be so short. Now, I have others I will play for you too, which will also surprise you. But we will stop here with Tennyson and we'll continue with him the next time.